welcome to another edition of Booked. Today we have a very fascinating book, A Flag to Live and Die For, written by Ambassador Navtej Sarna. He needs no introduction, but besides being a career diplomat, he has also been an author who has published close to 11 books. Ambassador Sarna, congratulations, and the timing of this book cannot be better. It's coming just ahead of the Republic Day celebrations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Why do you think we should know about the history of the Indian flag?
It's not just the Republic Day celebrations. We are still completing the 75th year of our formation of our republic. And the national flag is something which we take for granted. That, yes, this is our national flag, this is the Tiranga. But, you know, it's good to understand how it came to be, what the debates were about its different aspects, how did the colors get to be chosen, what do they signify, for instance, and what has been the codification that goes behind the national flag, how is it to be displayed, how is it to be kept, how is it to be raised, because the flag is not just a flag, you know. It's as the title says, it is a symbol for which people live and for which people are willing to die. So this entire thing, as envisioned by Mahatma Gandhi in one of his first statements about the flag, is that the flag has a great emotive value. And the flag is something which, you know, is converted as a simple piece of cloth, becomes this symbol for which people are willing to lay down their lives. So what is it all about? So I thought this book would be useful.
Absolutely. I mean, this entire evolution that you've discussed, Ambassador Sarna, talks about the tricolour. So let's look at the colours. You know, perhaps that is top on priority of the young generation. How were the three colours chosen? And what was the debate like which played out in the Constituent Assembly with regards to the colour? Your narrative shows how the tricolour moved from a party flag by convention to the national flag, which was adopted by the Constituent Assembly's resolution. So tell us, in terms of the legal terms, is that origin then a strength or a weakness?
No, it is a natural reflection of the state of the nation. It's neither a weakness nor a strength. I mean, in the sense that you have to go a bit back in history. If you give me a minute, I'll explain it. When the first flag was envisioned by Mahatma Gandhi on the basis of, you know, several designs had been proposed by a very, very remarkable individual called Pingali Venkaiah, who was fascinated with the idea of making a national flag for India. And he actually made 24 designs. But Mahatma Gandhi was not enthused enough to decide to push it as a flag. But ultimately, there was a felt need for a flag for India after the First World War. Because, you know, India had emerged as a major contributor to World War I. You know, you know, 1.5 million soldiers were contributed by India. And somewhere the contribution of India was slowly being recognized. India was actually went in her own capacity to the Paris Peace Conference, started participating in the International Labour Organization meetings as India. So on the international stage, there was a felt need that, you know, flag for India beyond the Star of India flag, which was the Viceroy's flag, and beyond the Union Jack, which was the Crown's flag. And at that time, Mahatma Gandhi then made a design with the help of Venkaiah, which was only two colors, which was red and green. And then he added a white. So there was a white, there was a green, and there was a red. And this was the first flag, which was called the Swaraj flag. This came about in 1921. It was never actually adopted by the Congress. It was Gandhi's flag. But because Gandhi gave his backing to it, it slowly became an increasingly a symbol of protest, a symbol of resistance. And, you know, he gave a very clear meaning to those colors, since you asked about the colors. The red, which was the largest and below, was for the Hindus. Above it was the green, which was for the Muslims. And above it was a white, which was supposed to absorb all the other communities.
So it was a different order from what we see now.
Absolutely. And he had a reason for that order. The reason for that order was that the other communities were the smallest, and they would be taken care of by the larger communities in progression. So the majority was below as a kind of protector of all the others. And his idea was not to divide the country or the nation, which was still not independent, as into communities, but to unify the communities in one symbol. So this was where it started.
Okay, so this is really fascinating. So when did red become saffron?
Right. So over the 20s, it remained as the Swaraj flag. Then, while there was initial unity amongst the communities and all that, particularly non-cooperation, Khilafat were working together, Hindu-Muslim amity was at a high in the early 20s, slowly that began to fray. And by the end of the 20s, people, again, the flag became so prominent that, again, the question of what does the color mean became prominent. And the Sikhs, for instance, they said that, where is our color? White is not good enough. What about our color? And there were different demands, either for a yellow/saffron or a black. And then the Hindu-Muslim, relations had soured very badly by then. So then it was the Congress, or rather the national movement, felt that they needed to look at the flag again. So in 1931, by which time our target had moved from, to Purna Swaraj. In the 1929 Congress in Lahore, when Jawaharlal Nehru had raised this flag and they had made a pledge for Purna Swaraj, the national movement had shifted gears. Then they appointed a flag committee to look at the colors of the flag. The questionnaires were sent out. People wrote in with designs, with suggestions. It was a very democratic process. And then...
Since you're speaking about the flag committee,
yeah.
I'm looking at this quote from your book. You write that the flag committee deemed saffron one color that is more acceptable to the Indians as a whole, associated with this ancient country by long tradition. Why did public opposition doom the all-saffron proposal?
You see, the flag committee didn't know quite what to do. So they said, okay, let's make saffron because that will be acceptable to the Hindus. It's close enough to what the Sikhs are asking for. And we can always say it's an ancient Indian color of renunciation, detachment. I mean, whether you take the Darwishes or you take the Peers or you take the Sannyasis or you take the Buddhist monks, saffron, works more or less. So they made that. But when it came out, there was a lot of protest, as you say. A lot of people said no, because there was already a lot of emotion attached to the three colors. And people had spent 10 years using that in protests, in the Nagpur flag satyagraha. It had become close to the people. And they saw only the saffron being perhaps, too much, as a color which would denote perhaps only the majority community. So then very quickly, this proposal was dropped. And they went back to three colors.
Okay, but then the order changes.
Then the
it
order
becomes
changes.
Saffron, white and green.
Yeah, first two changes happen. Firstly, the red changes to saffron.
Okay.
Because during the 20s, there was an argumentation that saffron is more representative of India than red, of values. Red is seen as blood, as passion. The saffron was more like the Gerua color, as I said, of the Buddhist monks, etc., etc. So saffron was more the color of detachment, the color of renunciation, the color of sacrifice. Mera Rang De Basanti Chola and all that, that comes from there. And again, it was felt that put the white, and again, Jawaharlal Nehru had this fascination with the aesthetic aspects of the flag. So he felt the white in the middle would make it a more aesthetic thing rather than separately. So they put the white in the middle. But what we haven't mentioned is in the Swaraj flag, as well as in the Congress flag adopted in 1931, there was not the chakra, but the spinning wheel.
So let me come to the chakra and Charkha debate, the legality which played out. In the Constituent Assembly, sir, you write that Nehru justified the Charkha with the Ashoka Chakra as, and you quote, as a somewhat more feasible and artistic form that still symbolically represented the spinning wheel. Do you see this change as a legal constituent redefinition of Swaraj then?
Yes, and for that we have to go back to how the Charkha came to be. Because right in 1921, when Mahatma Gandhi was considering the design of the flag, a gentleman called Lala Hansraj of Punjab suggested to him that the spinning wheel, which had already gained some, a value as a symbol of protest, a symbol in favor of India's villages. Gandhi believed that India's Swaraj lay in the villages. So he suggested to him to put it on the flag. And Mahatma Gandhi was ecstatic about the idea, and he said, this is it. And, he had meaning that this means that India's independence will come from our own self-reliance. So the Charkha became a symbol of India's villages, India's self-reliance, the capacity of India's women to earn their living, to produce. So that was his idea of Swaraj. And this Charkha stayed right through, as you say, to the Constituent Assembly. In the Constituent Assembly, the Charkha was replaced by the Chakra. And you're right, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru justified the change by saying that the Charkha has not gone. It is still there. You only see the wheel, you don't see the spindle. And his justification was that in the aesthetic, from the aesthetic point of view, from a symmetry point of view, this way you see the flag, same thing from both sides.
Okay, but there is an interesting point that you have made in the book, which is about the concern that Mahatma Gandhi had.
Yes.
That if the Charkha left people's heart, both the flag and the Charkha would be fit only to be burnt.
Yes, because when they replaced it with the Chakra, there were two justifications. One was that the Charkha is still there, only that you don't see it. The values of the Charkha are still there. And this was stated by Jawaharlal Nehru in the Constituent Assembly. There were others who took a slightly, even a different view, like Dr. Radhakrishnan, said that this is, movement, it's progress. Sarojini Naidu also saw it as movement. And then it also was seen as the symbol of the law of dharma, Buddha's dharma, because it came from the Sarnath capital of Ashoka. And it was seen as a symbol of law.
In the Constituent Assembly, Rajendra Prasad clarified that no flag used by the Assembly would be of anything but Khadi. And then there was this entire discussion around hand-spun and hand-woven cloth. And now we are seeing that it has to be a tricolor. It can be in any material. That entire journey, of course, that Charkha would be symbolic of, the Swaraj or self-reliance as we talk about, our emphasis on Khadi. Now to this transition that we have seen in 75 years.
Yes, it's another, as symbolic a change or as important a change as the Charkha Chakra, and perhaps even more important. Because as you know, right from the Swadeshi days, Khadi became a very important part of our national struggle. Because it meant that we were rejecting a dependence on foreign goods. People were taking all their foreign suits and burning them in bonfires. Our grandmother's generation was doing that, and there was this movement for Khadi. And this Khadi, the Gandhi cap, the spinning wheel, these became very important symbols of protest, and Khadi carried on in a very strong way. So right through, so there was no question that the national flag would be anything but hand-spun Khadi, whether it was wool, cotton, or silk. And this Rajkumari Amrit Kaur, who went on to become India's first health minister, raised this question in the Constituent Assembly to Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was chairing the Constituent Assembly ad hoc committee on the flag. And he clarified that as far as this government is concerned, this assembly is concerned, the flag can only be of Khadi.
This entire discussion and debate around the flying of the national flag.
Yes, so let me, I think these two things are linked. So this was Khadi till the 90s, there was no question. And from 1950, we had what is called the Flag Code India.
Right.
And as a diplomat, we have taken that as a kind of Bible and kept it by our tables all the time, because it used to define exactly how the flag is to be, on what occasions it can be flown, how is it to be displayed in vis-a-vis other flags, when is it to be put on the car, when is it to be taken off, it was from sunrise to sunset. The Flag Code India defines every little thing about the flag. In those years, it was that the flag is largely a sacred item, which is to be handled with great respect, which has to be, it can never be soiled or dirty, and it cannot be torn, and it has to be, largely it became to be seen as a symbol of the state, not that everybody could use it. Now, slowly, as things changed, technology changed, India became more liberalized, your media became more liberalized, we started showing international cricket and all, and you could see fans with tricolors on their cheeks, and then films were made like Mera Bharat Mahan, and then Kargil happened, when the flag again came into the drawing rooms, with the soldiers who, their bodies coming back draped in the tricolor, or the tricolor flying on Tiger Hill. So, all this changed the way citizens were relating to the flag. And there was a movement that liberalized the flag. You can't just keep it for the state. And you can't, in the earlier days, the normal citizen could fly a flag only on 4 occasions in a year. Either Republic Day celebrations, Gandhi Jayanti, Independence Day, and a celebration of the martyrs, which used to be April 6 to 13 in memory of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the victims of the massacre. That celebration, I don't know, it has vanished somewhere from our history, but that was laid down. On those days, anybody could take a flag and fly it, put it on his house or whatever. But otherwise, you had to be in a category of people who could fly the flag, say you're a district magistrate, or you're an ambassador, or you're a chief minister, etc. So when all this movement started with technology, travel, seeing what other countries are doing, everybody was going to America and seeing, oh, everybody flies the stars and stripes, why can't we fly our flag? So Naveen Jindal, member of parliament, he came back as a young student and wanted to fly the flag on his factory in MP and on Republic Day. And after Republic Day, they told him to take it off. So he filed a case, and that a legal battle started there. Meanwhile, the government also realized that, a flag needed to be liberalized. The BJP had come to power in 1998. And thereafter, a committee was set up in 2000, which looked at liberalization of the flag code.
So it became part of everybody's life.
So after the flag code was liberalized, and it made one major change, that you and I could fly the flag on any day of the year, not just on those 4 occasions. The rest of the restrictions mostly stayed. Thereafter, Mr. Naveen Jindal's case went up to the Supreme Court. And to cut a long story short, the Supreme Court ruled that flying the national flag was part of the fundamental right of speech and expression under Article 19. But there could be reasonable restrictions, and the reasonable restrictions could only be by law. And we have 2 laws in place. One is the Names and Emblems Act, improper use, so that you can't use the flag for trade or commercial purposes and all that. And it's a very interesting piece of legislation. And the second is prevention of insults to the flag, which lays down what are the insults of the flag. So all this happened. And thereafter, this also led, much later, 20 years later, to the change from Khadi to polyester. Because when the flag became for everybody to be used every day, could be used, the change from Khadi to an option of polyester was part of the sort of democratization of the flag. Perhaps easier to get, easier to make.
You know, you have traced this entire journey quite beautifully and also talked about this entire symbolic battles, many would say, of the tricolour. Ambassador Sarna, my last question, what made you write this book? Why would a career diplomat choose a topic of this nature?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm no longer a career diplomat. So having, retired, superannuated from the service, I'm a full-time writer. The second, my publishers, Aleph, were wanting contributions of this kind because they were doing this series called Essential India, as to mark 75 years of India's republic. And they have other books which are on the Constitution, National Anthem, and so on, as part of the series. But when the idea of the flag was offered to me, it resonated immediately. Because here, my career in diplomacy comes into play. We have handled the national flag professionally. We know what it means as diplomats because, the worst protocol gaffe can be that your flag is wrongly displayed, or it is below another country's flag, or it is displayed upside down. I remember, I think the incident is related in the book. I was Deputy Chief of Protocol, looking after ceremonial visits of dignitaries, and those days, and still do, we used to put flags all the way from the airport to Rashtrapati Bhavan. And one morning, somebody told me one flag is wrong on Vijay Chowk. So I rushed early morning, made sure that before, astute and sharp news cameramen caught it, I would lose my job. We changed it. So we knew what, people used to bring you a cake in the tricolours.
Right.
And, I would never cut that cake. So, because I think it's an insult, and Sachin Tendulkar got into some sort of controversy on that matter. So I think we have, as a diplomat, it's been part of our daily lives. It is something which you made sure that in the embassy, we always used to have a stack of flags, which used to be changed. We made sure that they were always dry cleaned and folded and ironed, and never was a flag put away, put on, which was not in a good condition. I think people who deal with this professionally, say people in the army, people in diplomacy.
So you were best suited.
So I don't know, but every Indian citizen is suited to this. Every Indian citizen feels for it, but I could resonate very quickly with why this was important to explain all this.
Ambassador Navtej Sarna, thank you for writing this book, because I think there is a whole generation which needs to certainly know why it is important and what is the journey of the tricolour, our national flag. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.